There's no playbook. There's certainly not an audio book that you can listen to on how to do it. And then going from player coach to just leader, you understand that there's different behavior that you have to really let your identity seek into. And you have muscle memory from the previous roles that you have to let go of. Right. So the feeling of like when you're a leader that I need to be out in the field generating revenue right now, that ingrained into you when you're an individual contributor. So not jumping on every single flight, not just getting in the car just because that's what you're used to, but actually using your critical thinking. And that's what you're getting paid to do now is to make important decisions about where the organization is going, who you're letting into the organization, who you're getting out of the organization. It's like the awakening is probably letting go of the old muscle memory of the past and embracing the new challenges of the future in the current role and understanding that's going to be uncomfortable because you're not familiar with. And so just with the unfamiliar situations and feelings and emotions, embracing that's good and growth, that's probably one of the biggest awakenings that I've had.
It's a great insight. Many folks think what got them there is going to continue to make them successful. And I think you've demonstrated that it's not always the case. You need to develop new behaviors, new muscle memory to move into different roles. We've talked about hiring a certain type of sales rep. Maybe we call them alpha salespeople. I used to use the term killers. Those people are not easy to manage. How do your sales managers, how do you advise them to coach these top performing reps who are driven, who want to be on the top of the leaderboard? What advice do you have for other sales managers to be successful managing that type of individual?
This is like the $1 million question. What you'll find with these alpha driver mega achievers is that you can't treat them all the same, right? That's number one, is that they're all individuals. So you've got to really assess each situation and understand what their drivers are. Now, we look for the competitive, the identity thing, but after they've proven themselves in the industry, they feel a certain way about themselves and they've earned the right to have higher demands and to press their managers a little harder for things and to challenge leadership. So the first thing I say is just understanding it's a good thing, right? You want these people on your team instead of being offended or letting your ego come into play. Look at it from the frame of we get to manage these high performers. It's a blessing of life. And that's a quick reframe to not look at the negative side of it because it can quickly go to they're assaulting my character or whatever it is that you can conjure up in your own mind when people are challenging you. And just understanding that, hey, they know they have a certain amount of leverage in terms of if I left, the company would be screwed. But it's
Yes.
actually, most people don't want to leave their situation. If they fire that bullet, they're not always going to use it. Now, you should be aware that if you've broken promises or the company has done things like changed a comp plan out of the blue, then you are putting people at risk, right? So it's just understanding where the heartbeat of the organization is and how to take on these people. And just know they're people just like you. You were probably once a top performer as a leader, right? You probably pressed your leadership to make changes or to take your opinions seriously.
Well, along those lines, we talked about the qualities of salespeople that you hire. What qualities do you look for in sales managers to be able to effectively manage these folks?
So I think a high EQ, right? What's their emotional intelligence like? Are they going to be able to lead a diverse group of people that are going to be challengers or that they're going to be able to communicate effectively? Are they respected? How do their peers look at them? Those are some of the first things that you would look at. If they meet all of those criteria, are they ready from a maturity standpoint to take on where you're no longer customer facing, you're rep facing? Your problems now change from driving revenue to building very strong relationships. Are they able to change their mindset along those sort of things and then giving them grace when they're going through the process of making that change? Because, hey, it's all that muscle memory, all of the things that they're used to. And the way you speak to your team can be very different from the way you challenge a customer in a capital equipment environment to make them commit to a purchase. At the end of the quarter, you might need to leave a lot of the persuasion capabilities when you're dealing with your team on a day-to-day basis. Therefore, they trust you long term.